Desert Treasure 2, The Fallen Empire rewards Greenlight blog. I'm judging by the picture they want us to get gems for our less than good Kodai. Be interesting. I need 4 more armor seeds. When can I start complaining I'm dry? When people start asking. I'm not gonna go through the entire blog because okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the question. I'm gonna find the section. We're gonna have a gaze. I feel like that's easier and that's a better way to go about living. Everyone okay with that that choice that I'm making? Question 1. Should we explore adding Virtus robes as a reward from the 4 bosses unlocked by completing Desert Treasure 2, The Fallen Empire? This question passes. We will spend time working on a design that will be polled again before being added to the game. What the fuck are Virtus robes? Alright, Virtus robes, right at the start. Good. These recognizable robes certainly evoke some strong feelings and discussions from... I don't give a fuck about this. Okay, let's go. Alright, come on. Where are the robes? Alright, here they are. Okay, they're not going to look like that. They're going to redesign them, which is cool, because they look like shit. You may as well wear the ancient ceremonial robes at this point. I'm assuming ancient ceremonial robes will have something to do with them. Or they're going to continue to be just dead on release items. Not sure. Virtus robes upgraded from ancient ceremonial sounds good. Especially since I've already put all mine in Death's Coffer. For those who don't remember, Virtus robes are a powerful, high-level magic armor set that boosts the powers of ancient elements blood, ice, shadow, and smoke. Of course, it also comes with a hefty magic damage bonus. I like the sounds of that. Alright, at this stage, we just want to know whether you agree that they'd make a great reward. We're not proposing any specifics yet? Okay, alright. Although we do plan to make adjustments to the older proposal based on feedback. You said, what the fucking older proposal? Excuse me. Okay, hold on. I should probably read some of this. So, I have no problems banning people that want to do dumb shit like play cards while I'm trying to obviously do a blog. Some of you feel that these robes likely aren't worth the inventory slots they require for the current power and utility of ancient magics. True, and that it's difficult to understand where you'd use them short of us heavily power creeping ancient magics. Everyone worried about power creep. I don't think a lot of people understand how power creep works. Like to worry about endgame weapons getting stronger than a scythe and T-bow. Others have asked for us to just make them the new best in slot robes that sync Ancestral, similar to how 12 interacts with Bandos. Obviously doesn't really align with the power. No, it doesn't, because Ancestral comes from fucking raids. It comes from cogs. It's a lot more complicated and harder to get than Bandos and Armador, doesn't it? What many of you feel makes sense is for these robes to slot in somewhere between Arams and Ancestral, bridge the gap, and potentially offer a middle ground. I don't really feel like there's much of a gap between Arams and Ancestral, to be honest. It's 2% damage apiece and less defense, right? That's not that much more accurate. Okay, it's difficult to deliver in practice. Each piece of Ancestral gives 2% magic damage, totaling 6%. Honestly, Ancestral should give more. 6. Make an ancient bonus and buff Ancest. Yeah, that should buff Ancestral. I think so. Magic accuracy of 69. Aram's hood, robe top, and robe skirt. No magic bonus and 58 magic accuracy. Not that much different. It's only 11 magic accuracy. The wiggle room between Aram's robe Ancestral is likely to feel impactful. It's not. No, it's not at all. And it's not going to make a difference with Tunic and Shadow. It's not going to be worth it. But if the aim is to fill the gap between a below best in slot gear, it doesn't make much sense. Make something that feels truly impactful if you're using the most powerful magic weapon in the game. True. To help us better understand the role you'd like Virtus to play, or whether you'd like to see Virtus at all, we'd like to instead move away from yes, no, green light questions and ask some advisory questions. Okay, but where are these fucking questions? For those who are unaware, I'm just on the arse end of a chest infection, but that's why I keep muting and coughing. Okay, so I don't know where these questions are, but I guess these are the questions they're talking about. Should we explore adding Virtus robes as a reward for the 4 bosses unlocked by Desert Treasure 2? Here's my opinion on Virtus robes. I don't think... So, what you've got is you've got Tora from Next, which is the endgame boss, really, isn't it? Before raids. And then you've got Ancestral and Missouri both from raids. So I don't think there's any room to have quest bosses, which are likely going to sit around the difficulty of the Phantom, Muspar, and Zora and Vorkaf. It doesn't make sense for bosses like that to give rewards that are not endgame content. In my opinion, at this current stage, I would prefer Virtus roads weren't added through Desert Treasure 2. Because, just from what I can see here, if you're not going to make it better than Ancestral, you should make it what Ancestral is and buff Ancestral. Put Ancestral to 10 or 12%. Obviously, create a whole other, it'll open, yeah, agree, but you're going to open another can of worms, and then magic is going to be fucking way more powerful. Another 6% on top of the shadow is fucking nuts. So, and you obviously make it more accurate. So you're going to really fucking buff and increase Ancestral, which is going to be a huge boost to Cox. It's going to send the economy into shambles. And it's actually going to put the shadow further ahead than the T-Bow and a lot more things as well. Buff Ancestral, nerf Occult. Could nerf the Occult, yeah. That could be a good balance. But then at this, I don't know if that would be much point though, right? Because you buff Ancestral and you nerf Occult, still stuck with the same shit. All you're doing is you're making this Virtus stuff even worse, right? Only way to do it. You're just making Virtus roads even worse because now you're making everything except Ancestral worse. Now you're pretty much nerfing magic. You nerf Occult by 5%, you lose 5% magic damage on everything except when you've got your Ancestral on. I think literally they should look at something. They should look at alternative boots. Like they could do endgame boots for all three of the boots. Because prims are a waste of money, right? Let's be honest. Prims are what? How much are prims going for right now? What are prims going for? Prims are going for 23 mil. And how much are Dragon Boots going for? You're spending 23 million, 732,000 GP for a +1 strength bonus and +2 accuracy bonus, and you're gonna sit there and shit on kids for not having prims and saying that it's best in slot that makes a difference in your combat. 23 mil. Same for pegs. It's the same for pegs. Pegs doesn't even increase your damage. Neither does in Eternal Boots. There's no damage buff on them. No strength bonus. Have Ancestral like +2 more than currently does. Currently does. The Virtus will have -2 of what Ancestral currently does. I think they should just. Yes, that can work, but I think that the option to not have Virtus coming through this way. I think another endgame boss, endgame raid bringing Virtus into the game would be better, because then you can make an argument to make it better than Ancestral. Ancestral's already really good, and the gap between Aaron's and Ancestral is so small, you don't really need it. So, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to start changing the way Ancestral is and maybe changing things like the Occult around, if you're going to start reworking other gear to make this fit, you're just making an excuse to please those who want Virtus because it was OS RuneScape back in the day. You know, like, I think there's better ways to go about adding this stuff to the game. Okay, to have it be weak and another raid endgame boss could drop upgrades items to Virtus to make it outclass Ancestral later. Yeah, but how long is that going to fucking take? That's going to make these bosses dead on release until it's time. They could just not do Virtus robes. They could do boots. You know, they could do gloves. They could do boots and gloves that give a magic bonus. Why not? We don't have that. We got the Torn, but you know. But And they don't have to be Virtus, but they could be anything. I don't know. I feel like Virtus robes is probably... I feel like there's a better way to bring it into the game than through Desert Treasure 2. But that means Desert Treasure 2, if you were to not bring the robes in, you'd have to find something to replace it that feels like it's worth bringing, like a valuable reward that's worth our time adding it to the game. Question 1 passes. When we spend time designing Virtus robes, should they focus on offering bonuses to Ancient Magics or something else? Offering bonuses to Ancient Magics does nothing. It doesn't even help in the Inferno once you start. Like it might help people getting their first cape. Barely. But like what sort of bust are they talking about here? If you're talking about a 10% damage boost, you could just wear a Kodai wand and you've got that over the Ancient Scepter, right? I guess you could stack it with the Kodai wand, I guess, but what the fuck's that gonna do at anywhere else in the game? It's just it just seems like it's a small hole in content that no one asked for that they're trying to fill. I feel like not really. If they want to make this quest big with 4 bosses with big rewards, this is kind of shit. Could have just been a better version of ARMS in the sense that it's tanky, but not be a glass cannon like Ancestral. So like a tanky Ancestral, then you'd just ditch Ancestral, wouldn't you? It won't be, not if it's less damage. The thing is, you've got a 6% damage window. 6%. And it looks like they want to do boots and gloves as well. You've got a 6% damage window. That's not a lot of space. Like they said up here, it doesn't sound like it'd be worth to have less than 6%, but more than 2%. To be using it on something like the Tumicant Shadow. Considering the rework of a cult. If you rework a cult, you ruin everything before owning this or Ancestral. You ruin Tridents, you ruin Scepter in the Wilderness, you ruin everything before it. Like you're basically nerfing magic to make this fit. You're not just nerfing the occult, you're nerfing magic. You're taking away damage from anyone who can't afford Ancestral or a Shadow. It's a big hit. In my opinion. I feel like that's a big change. Could rework those items too. But then you're just reworking. So basically, you're just reworking. You're telling me that it would be a smart choice to add Virtus robes into the game by reworking everything in Magic, or they could just not, and then they could come up with. We could wait for further endgame content and make something that goes beyond Ancestral, which would be a smarter choice. Magic needs rework. Of course it needs rework, but it's not because of the gear. It's also the way Magic is calculated in combat and the way that it's balanced. Fucking ridiculous. The fact that you've got to roll for splashing and then roll for accuracy as well. The way that defense is measured off of both your magic level and your defense. It's a whole can of worms, more than just the gear you wear. It would be better if they waited until there was another piece of ending game content to look at Virtus robes being added, based on what they've pitched here right now. They come out with something better than great, but I would vote no, personally. I would then skip this question. Something else proves to be a popular option. Keep an eye on your suggestion and use those suggestions to inform a later poll question. So zero know exactly what you'd like to see. Any suggestions for things like HP bonuses, mage tank robes, prayer robes that excel in conjunction with the ruinous powers. Loads more. Keep them coming so that there's more to choose from in the future. Yep. Question 2 determines Virtus robes should offer bonuses to Ancient Magics. Where should they sit power-wise? They should be stronger than Ancestral robes, technically, but I would skip still. I personally think this is not... I'm going to vote no on that. My opinion, I think. Excuse me. I would vote no. I mean, if it was to pass, I'd do Ancient Magic bonuses. And if it was to pass, I'd make it stronger than Ancestral robes for Ancient Magic. Because otherwise, you're not going to fucking use it at all. It'd be like... I don't really have a comparison. It's like... It'd be like wearing Obby until you get to Bandos. Most people just go Father Torso to Bandos. They don't fuck around with Obelisk a lot of the time. No? They don't fucking worry about it. They just skip it a lot of the time. Iron Men will fuck around with it, maybe. That's about it. They'll just wait it out and skip it because it's fucking dead on release. A lot of people skip the Dragon Chain Body and go straight to Bando's Chestplate. Dead. No fucking need for it. Ancient Scepter upgrades. Feels like only a couple weeks ago we were paying Eblis after a visit after securing a 1 in 50 ancient icon drop from the Grumbler. Why does everyone call it Grumbler? On top of that, 1 in 50. Why are we getting more than one icon? Fucking Banker's got 2 at the moment. Alright, and if you weren't for the meddling data miners, would have really surprised you all. The announcement that we actually have more plans for the iconic weapon. Yep, data miners are always fun for the game. In keeping with the Desert Treasure theme, we'd like each of the boss to drop untradeable gems, likely as a pity drop. Style of Warcraft heads corresponding with the respective ancient elements. These gems could be combined with the ancient scepter. Yep, okay, just like TOA. This goes beyond freeze more good. Got some really creative ways to buff these elements in a way that will really shake up the meta. Okay. Want to focus on ice and smoke. Okay. A whole bunch of monsters are immune to poison and freezing. Want to propose freeze and poison penetration. Oh, that'd be cool. As new offensive stat options. Yep. Could let us offer buffs for the gems and other items that will let you freeze and poison enemies they've been able to before. Poison Jad? You can poison Jad. Opening new room for rotation in combat sounds good. Yeah, no, that sounds cool because I'm pretty sure like you can't freeze Akka, so you'd be able to like freeze him. A freeze penetration as a new potential offensive stat. I would assume that means that you would have to roll the damage, like roll the normal spell, then it will roll on top of that whether it actually freezes, which I don't think would be too high of a percent, I'd imagine. This question passes. We will spend time fleshing out a design for freeze penetration that will be polled again before being added to the game. I like that idea, to be honest. Same for poison. I think that's cool. If it can be utilized, which I'm sure it will be, at least in future content, I think that's a pretty cool idea. Yes to both of those. I mean, that's pretty cool. Should we explore adding blood, ice, smoke, and shadow gems from the 4 bosses? Yeah. Each gem can be considered with the combined with the ancient scepter to provide unique buffs. Yep. Yep, I think that's cool. Yes, vote yes to that. I like the idea of the gems. I mean, that's pretty easy. That gives the bosses a need to be found for 50, 100 kills or whatever. Freeze penetration makes a lot of current content too easy, no? The big question is, where would you use freeze penetration at the moment? And again, it depends how they balance freeze penetration. If it's like a 10% chance, it might not be worth it a lot of the time, but it could be like in an 8-man TOA. If there's a 10% chance, you got 1 or 2 people throwing it, it could help with Akka. But in like a 2-man TOA, or even a 4-man, you probably would just stick to butterflying, or you would just stick to kiting him, because it would be easier than rolling the dice that many times. But if it's like a 50-50, or depends on how they balance how accurate the freezing is. I'd imagine it wouldn't be super accurate to keep it more as a niche, big team thing rather than a small thing, right? Yeah, as long as it's not freezing over here. I don't think that's how it would work. Freeze penetration, Gobble's Dungeon, you can freeze everything in Gobble's Dungeon anyway. Baba, Verzik. Verzik, you can freeze Verzik already. You can already freeze Verzik. She's not immune to freezing. She is immune to poison, though. So, yeah, you can freeze Verzik, yeah. So, I would imagine it's a separate roll. It wouldn't be like Ice Barrage where you land the hit, you're freezing. I think it's a separate roll. That would make more sense, because it's going to be its own stat option, right? So it'd be like you have freeze penetration of 15%, and then if you land the hit, then have a 50. What's 50%? A 1 in 6 roughly, a 1 in 6 chance, 1 in 6.5 chance of actually landing a freeze as well, which I think would be fair for a lot of content. I don't think it'll be used in too much endgame content that it would be a problem. But it would be funny if you could use it on bloat. It would be fucking funny if you could use it on bloat. Pretty good. If that's the case, wouldn't it make it dead too? Again, it depends. It would completely depend on. I think the thing to keep in mind here is that while it might make it dead, these quests and bosses, I don't think they need to specifically be for the end game. What I mean by that is, I mean, what if you use it on Nex? But I don't think it's something like you should be worried about using it on Zora so it doesn't fucking move. I don't think it's going to change the way people speedrun or efficiently do raids, which is why the Virtus Robe's argument for it to even consider competing with Ancestral, I think, should not be in here. But more, you know, increasing the penetration could be good, and then an upgrade later from a raid to make it better than Ancestral could be the play. 100%. That's not a bad idea, you know. Good base, 10 to 20% value, freeze poison. Yeah, I'd say something like that. Probably sounds right. Maybe the robes increase that. Not a bad shout. New rings. Okay. Enough speaking ancient stuff. Yes. Let's see some bling. All right. Next on the docket are 4 rings to rule them all. Permanent rings have been best in slot for their respective niches since 2005. Have they? I guess so. Although the Berserk ring is the standout, it's time to level up on the jewelry front. While they're not dead set on we're not dead set on the fine details, we'd like to explore a set of rings that will take the feminine ring crown. Clarify, these rings would target the following niches: best in slot melee strength. Gonna be a big fucking ring. Might overtake Barrow's gloves for, well, you've got Ferocious gloves really for the strength bonus. Outside of a weapon. Range accuracy and range strength. Magic accuracy and magic damage. Slash bonus. Melee strength. Slash bonus and melee strength would have to be... The slash bonus and melee strength would have to be as big of a strength bonus as the Berserker ring now. It would have to be a +8 when imbued. Otherwise, it's not going to be fucking worth it. Because that'll be good. That'll keep the scythe how it is, but more accurate. Now, probably still better using the new ring, especially if you're going Crush anyway, I guess. It'd have to be bigger. It'd have to be like a +12 maybe to compete. Otherwise, you're just going to use the best in slot melee strength one. I like the idea of range strength and magic damage rings. I love the Lightbearer, but a ring switch is never really a problem if I have to use one. Rings need to use up Fem rings as components. Yes, 100%. 100%. Yeah, it'd be crazy not to. These new rings are going to be super powerful right out the box, so you don't need to spend extra time in Nightmare Zone, Souls, and PvP Arena to imbue them. No, but you should have to use imbued rings and then upgrade them. You have to have an imbued Berserker ring before you can upgrade into it. That'd be cool. Ring switches would be great. I mean, you technically can use a ring switch already. A lot of people do. Especially, like, one is with the Lightbearer. And then you just switch the Berserker ring to use the spec, then you throw the Lightbearer back on. You get your spec back fast, but it's just really sweaty. Not something I'm super keen on at the moment. But if it's what it's going to take to be able to do certain speedruns and top and stuff, then I'll have to do it. Should we explore adding new best in slot rings as a reward for the 4 bosses? We'll spend more time on the design. Yeah, I think they should. I think that'd be cool. And you know what? I'd be happy for these rings to come in and that be it. Get rid of the Virtus and save it for another day. And just have it as rings and the gems. I think that, honestly, is more than fucking enough. At the end of the day, I think that is plenty for these 4 bosses. You're getting 4 bosses, 4 rings, 4 gems from one quest. I think that's like... That could be enough and not be a problem. Sometimes it's a problem if you do too much. You can overdo it. Isn't the imbued inferior ring to imbue the new ring would be cool? Yeah, I think it'd be good. If question 7 passes, how would you feel about these rings to function? Simple stat increase. Lots of unique effects that place the rings into specific niches. No, I think just stat increases. Like, we don't have to overdo it. If these rings function as simple stat increases, would you like them to somehow directly upgrade the front? Yes. Yes. Ruinous powers. What the fuck does that mean? The following should the ruinous powers praise focus on what? Oh, there's a new praise. New praise. New prayer book. We're getting a new prayer book as well. We don't need the Virtus robes. We don't need the Virtus robes for this quest. We don't. Overdoing it. Make the rings 1 in 1500 on the bosses. Make the gems 1 in 150 or guaranteed at 150 and fucking put it in the game. Random question, but do you know why I can't get this Dagon off Rex skill while frozen task? I'm using single free spell and it's not doing shite. Wouldn't have a clue, mate. I'd have to see what you're doing. I think robes another time is the way to go. But I don't trust the RuneScape community to do the right thing, so it's probably not going to happen. One of the most obvious trade-offs we could make is the power of defensive prayers, like protect from melee, range, and magic. What if they reduce damage to 90% instead of 100%, but grant additional offensive? Yeah, I think that's cool. Bit more chip damage, nothing like that. And Baba Room, hey? Max hit 25 to max hit 30. Let's fucking go. Further trade-offs, we also want to propose the players should not be able to one-tick flick the ruinous powers to sustain them indefinitely. Okay. So be able to lazy flick to conserve your prayer points. Flick in between overhead prayers if needed. Exactly as many as you are used to doing already. I think it depends how the prayers work. If you're going to have a prayer that like reduces the time to recharge spec energy, or like something that affects skilling, I think one tick flicking it could be a bit much. But if it's something like offensive prayers like you're already using, I don't think one tick is bad as part of this game at the end of the day. The following should the ruinous powers focus on? I think combat and minor skilling, or maybe a balance of combat and skilling, because honestly, go too hard in combat, could end up killing the current prayer book, or it could end up failing because the current prayer book's too good. And I don't want, for the love of God, I don't want pures to be able to have piety. Pures can have piety. What the fuck is the point in doing your quest for piety? You're just gonna get fucking steamrolled. Fuck that. I think a balance of combat and skilling. Where's the next Angel of Death update? Yeah. Why not? I think that's pretty cool. That's not a bad idea. What's this stuff? Redesign, community design reward. This. Be a chance to let your creativity run wild and come up with a reward befitting the sequel to the iconic quest. They want more shit? Still stuck on information. Check out this example on the top level. Oh, they want to okay, have people do. I'm not going to read that shit then. Concept. Fuck that. Alright. That's pretty cool. I would vote, in my opinion, I think no to Virtus Robes. I think Virtus Robes do not need to be in the game at this point in time. I think they could do Virtus Robes better if they wait for a bigger piece of content, make Virtus Robes worth it, rather than trying to squeeze it in a gap that isn't really there. Okay? I think the gems are a good idea. I think the freeze and poison penetration is a good idea, provided it's balanced correctly. I think the rings are a good idea. Use the imbued current rings to upgrade into them. Keep them simple as stat upgrades. They don't need to be anything special. Balance of combat and skill for the new prayer book. This is the easiest room in the raid. It's quite simple. You got a big boy. Look at him. God damn. Fuck me. Look at that boy. It's huge. You got a big boy.